Hey, what's up? My name is Josh Moose from Grandma's House Audio. Check me out online, grandma'shouseaudio.com. You're listening to the weekly podcast where I interview musicians, bands, other audio engineers, promoters, anybody related to the music industry. Today I'm sitting down with Paul Peterson from Big House Pete. Paul, thanks again for coming in. How you doing, man?
No problem. Good, man. Good.
Oh, yeah. So you're in Big House Pete.
Yeah.
You've been playing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
A long-ass time.
Okay, man. Yeah, I have been playing.
I say that out of respect.
Nah, a long time, man. Over 30 years.
That's what's up. And so, and you've been playing guitar the whole time.
Yep.
And you,
yeah, don't know nothing about them either. And tune them up.
Yeah.
But play them.
We were talking about that yesterday, how I've always been more into like the technical side of it. And I guess just because I'm in the recording and, you know all your scales. I mean, you can wail on a guitar, man.
Thanks, man. As far as guitars go, though, man, I mean, I'm always weary of the guy that walks in with the nice looking equipment. You know, he isn't playing it. You know, it isn't road tested. You know, he ain't out there experiencing what he's supposed to experience. You know what I mean? You know, you get the guys that I've played with that have the beat up gear and using a screw gun to put it together. Usually coming with some killer tone, or unless they're really, really poor or crackhead or something. I don't know, but most guys, that I've played with, their stuff's beat up because they play it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where, it's important.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. But yeah, I've been playing for quite a long time, man. That's all I like to do. Yeah,
I can tell, man. I like when you first came down here, it was because we met through one of your old drummers. And, when you guys first came down here, it was cool. Because, I guess you've recorded so much before. And then here I am. I'm I was like 26 at the time.
All right.
This little kid recording bands out of his basement. And you guys have been recording here ever since.
Yeah,
which is cool, man.
Well, there's things that I look for whenever we do the studio process, and that's one thing that so far that you have that most places don't have is just being quick. When you're caught up, when you're in the moment of playing, and you're in the moment of a song, and you play that right note, or you hear that right note, you didn't execute it well. You're right on top of it, so I don't lose the energy of that note or forget where the placement was or whatever. You're right. Okay, I got you. I heard it. You're listening.
Thanks.
To what's going on, and most people don't. Most people don't. It takes too long. Then you lose your inspiration and you're back because it's just.
Yeah.
And it can't be like we talked about yesterday too. Also, it's not being afraid of the red button.
Mm-hmm.
If I could say anything to anybody out there playing music, get that red button going. Don't let it intimidate you. You know what I mean? That's when you're supposed to shine, not when it's off. When it's on.
Yeah. That was an interesting thing we were talking about yesterday, because what's so good about you guys, and especially you, is that, we were talking about it with guitar and vocals yesterday, how, when you go to double something, which anybody listening, if you don't know what that means, it's just playing or singing the same exact thing. You know exactly what you just did. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you, you just come in prepared. You know what I mean? Like you know what your rhythm guitar is playing. You know what your leads are, and it's cool because then we just fly right through it. We get the foundation of the songs down, and then we have so much more time to be creative, which is that's the best part, in my opinion.
The best part. That's never, I think that you're, first of all, if you're a young band, you're looking to get signed or have a record company look at you and things like that. If you're showing that you're turning out a good product in quick amounts of time, you're saving them money.
Yeah.
You're saving yourself money. You're saving them money. The producer comes in, does his thing, but, if you're turning out a good product and you know what you're doing and you're not wasting time, that's always a benefit, I'd imagine. I mean, if I was a record company, or even just in general, if I have a business, I'm not going to hire a guy that stands there and does nothing. Comes without his tools. What are you going to come to work without your tools? You need your tools. You need to know what you're doing with them. You know what I mean? Or you get paid
awesome
less. Mm-hmm. You get paid way less. That's why there's an $8 an hour guy and there's a $35 an hour guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he always should be prepared. You know what I mean? And then, people that aren't, their heart ain't in it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that statement for sure.
Yeah, my heart's been in it since I started.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care if I make a dime playing music.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's to me, it's like it's one thing to play and to write a song down and just kind of let it flow out. You know what I mean? Which I think some people kind of confuse that as like, you know, they just want it to sound natural, or they just want to whatever they're playing when it's recording, they just want that, you know, that just to be the take or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to, you know, crossing that line of being prepared, it's like all you really got to know is just what your rhythm is and what melody you're singing and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right. You always
just building that foundation just to give yourself, like I said before, more time to be creative, you know?
And that's why I've always done it. Excuse me. I've always done pre-production. And every song I've ever recorded, since I was a kid,
Yeah.
I did pre-production.
Yeah.
So if I did take it into a bigger studio, I already had even better idea what I want to do from the mistakes I made in pre-production. And then you're getting the red button syndrome ain't going to be there after a while because you're going to get used to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you know, as far as the song goes, a lot of people, excuse me, I hate whenever I hear songs where I feel like they just threw in a chord because they needed time.
Yeah.
Or they needed space. Or they wrote baby, 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 oh yeah, and all that kind of stuff. Those are things you won't hear in my songs too much.
Yeah.
Or maybe an oh yeah, maybe a baby or something like that, but not in the same kind of where I'm going to be wasting time. To me, that's heartless. It's heartless stuff. I don't want to be known as that. Everything that I write about something specific, some experience, some situation, some thought I had, but it's for real. You know, and I think that it's important that, you know, if you have a song, if you only have one verse and you're not inspired for the second verse, you put it on the clipboard. And you sorry about that, man. But you come back. That's one of my favorite bands, or Killing Joke. They're pretty tight, man. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
Shut that off.
I thought we were getting attacked by aliens or something.
But anyway, like I said, you put that verse on a board and just leave it there.
Yeah.
Until you're inspired to finish it. If we force it, it sounds forced.
Yeah.
I've had songs where guys are like, oh, we should put this chord in right here just to give it a break. I'm like, you know, no. That's not what no. I'm not going to do that because you need to breathe or something like that. You know what I mean? Because you can't hang. Forget it. Don't sing it with me. I'll do it myself. It's not written that way. You know what I mean? This is how I heard it. This is how it's going down. That'd be like painting a picture and somebody comes in and tells you to change the colors, man. Well, we need to put a little more red over here. Well, how about this? I'm the artist, not you.
Yeah.
If I wrote it, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be arrogant, but I don't make enough money at it for you to change my mind about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do what my heart tells me to do in it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I always try to pay attention. Like you said, we were talking about yesterday, is to the hooks. You know, I want people to hear my music. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't spend enough time with it. I've seen multiple bands in my life and don't remember a song they play. I got people out in Jersey walk in, older guys, young, singing Butternuts to me, man. Sometimes I wish I wouldn't have wrote that song, but, you know.
How old is that song?
It's 2000. It's like 14 years old. Yeah.
Damn.
I didn't get it out for a while till like 2006, but it was just sitting there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pulled it out and put it on a CD. But oh, that's where, you know.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, I totally agree with the pre-production. I love doing pre-production with bands. A lot of bands that I work with, I mean, a lot of guys are totally unfamiliar with it and might not have even heard of that term before. You know what I mean? But that's why I like sitting down. Not every band's into it, doing it with somebody else, but I like doing it with bands. Like just like you said, just kind of sitting down. We'll work out. They'll have a good idea for a song, and then we just work out the foundation.
Well, then it gets you used
to
you're not getting afraid of a click track. You know what I mean? You should always, whenever you do pre-production, not enough people talk about that, and we've discussed that yesterday also about people not hanging with it, pushing and pulling and not really laying in a pocket and whatnot, you know, and with that experience of pre-production in your early writing years as you're figuring yourself out.
Yeah.
You're getting that experience, which is the red button experience, the click track experience. You get thrown into a studio and you get a record deal because you wrote some cool songs and they came out okay on your little player and everybody's happy. That's all going to get redone.
Yeah.
And now you're going to work with some producers that are going to intimidate you.
Yeah.
And then your favorite bandmates are going to come walking by the studio window, and all of a sudden your fingers are real cold and your throat's tight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to be ready for that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
And to keep going, you know what I mean? And be able to perform. That's hard.
Yeah. I've never been in that kind of situation personally, but I mean,
it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked in some really killer recording studios, cutting edge, back in the early 90s and out in Los Angeles, and you know, you could feel it. I could feel it when you're hanging out with Robert Palmer and Steve Perry from Journey's hanging there, Steve Smith, and you got, at the time it was Blue Murder, John Sykes, original White Snake, you know, and these guys you got Gene Simmons, you got Sharon Osbourne out in the lobby, you know what I mean, and to perform there and do, you know, without having nerves, you know what I mean, you got to be as prepared as you possibly can, and you do that in your early stages, you know.
Yeah.
It's all just a big benefit, and this way you can play with the nerves, you can use them to your advantage, you can use them, refocus them, and use them as energy.
Yeah.
You know, then people will feel what you're doing. You get it to a different level.
Yeah. I think
opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with it. I mean, the way I always kind of put it, it seems like a good way to kind of put it. I think like people relate to it, I guess is what I'm saying, is, you know, the way I kind of see pre-production is like, you know, when you're building a house, you know, you lay the foundation first, you build up the walls, you put up your 2x4s, hang the drywall, you know, throw the roof on, throw some shingles on. That's all just foundation. That's pre-production to me.
Right.
Painting the walls, putting up pictures and stuff. That's getting creative, making it a home. You know what I mean? Right,
and that's another point I like to always make too. Is like a lot of guys go out. You know, you hear them locally. Excuse me again, but I go out and hear like, say it's an acoustic thing like I'm doing tonight. Okay, well I take all my effects and all my stuff with me. I take vocal delays and reverbs, doublers, and I take reverb from my acoustic, because you know what, when you go in a studio, I haven't been in a studio I haven't been in yet, and ain't throwing reverb on a mix.
Yeah.
Ever in my life, ever. I don't care if even, you know, you listen to a Nat King Cole recording, you know what I mean, there's reverb in there. It's just something that happens. It's what you do. It gives it life. Those are your paints. You're an artist. Use your paints. You know what I mean? Yeah, the song's there, the acoustic's there, but you know, you gotta, you know, and there's another little thing with that is the naked truth too. There's some cats that can pull that off, and there's your super talented dudes.
Yeah,
that can sit down and just bang it out, and they sound just tremendous. Few and far between.
Yeah.
Me, I need a little help. You know what I mean? I need a little help with some reverbs and that, and it sounds pleasing to me.
Yeah.
It's what I hear back in the studio. When I'm in the studio, I hear some delays, I hear some reverbs, I hear this on my guitar, and it sounds good. Why wouldn't I take that with me? You know what I mean? And a lot of guys frown on that stuff. You know, just plug in and play.
Yeah.
Like in the studio, we don't do that. You know what I mean? Those are your paints. Use them. That's why Pro Tools has a million options.
Yeah.
It's because that's a million colors of the rainbow. You know what I mean? As you mix them, you can go ahead and make your picture happen. But if you're only given black and white, that's 2 dimensions.
Yeah.
You know, when it could be 3,000 dimensions, you know.
And sometimes it's the opposite too.
Sure. Less is more.
Guys got these, I mean, in some songs it works, you know, some bands or whatever, you know, it's cool. But, you know, sometimes I see these dudes, they got all these pedals. Sometimes they play a show, you know, they got like 3 pedal boards, this whole, you know, they got this whole just giant clusterfuck of pedals, you know what I mean? And they're just like, they use 2 pedals of the whole show. It's like, holy shit. You know, they're going through this compressor into that fuzz pedal, into this reverb, into that compressor. It's just like, it's like, damn.
It usually sounds like shit.
Yeah.
Because you're relying on a sound card or some, you know, cheap ass pedal. You know what I mean? And whatever, you know, cheap components they use, your sound's going through there. You know, I believe in good sound and good tone, and a lot of times what I use, they call my stuff dinosaur, and I've told you that too. You all that stuff's dinosaur. The equipment that I use can be sold for more than what I paid for it, beat up. You know what I mean? Because it's good stuff.
Yeah.
It offers what you need. That's one thing I do care about is tone and quality of sound. But again, there's gigs back in the day. I would go to these parties where there was a lot of jamming at parties, house parties and stuff, and a lot of what they called back in cutting heads. It came off that Crossroads movie with Steve Vai and all that. Everybody cutting. Yeah. I used to do that. I was a big fan of that. Come on, bring it.
Yeah.
Bring it. Throw it at me. I'm gonna throw something back at you. Let's have some fun. You know what I mean? And one time I remember a guy, he had Marshall stacks and he had these Roland GP8s and this and that, and he had all the, you know what I mean? And I had this little PV 50 watt nothing. The reverb kind of worked. It was kind of a dirty, And the tone I got out of this thing, it was like 1/3 the size of what he had. It just crushed him.
Yeah.
Because it's your ear.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing is that you're listening. Most of the times I run into that kind of thing with a lot of, they're not listening.
Yeah.
And you get in situations where, like, I always talk about dynamics and things like that.
Yep.
Push and pull. I'm 3-piece. And I've been on stages where there's keyboards, 2 guitar players with that same rig you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With a killer singer, sing way better than me, way better range, it's snap, blah, 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 whatever. Can't understand a word he's saying. The guitars sound like chainsaws. The bass, the mid's scooped out so far it has no presence, and then the drummer's just way too loud.
Yeah.
And we step on 3-piece playing some silly song like If Only Sheep Could Shave and hit the groove. And it's just larger than life.
Yeah.
I made them sound like AM radio, and we're just 3-piece with hitting the same note together. You know what I mean? But it's all about your groove, your tone, your sound, and whether you're listening or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My drummers, I insist that they turn down during a verse. If we're talking in a conversation as we are right here, if I don't shut up, nobody hears you. If you don't shut up, nobody hears me. It's that simple, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're having a conversation up there with frequencies. So when it's my turn to be heard as a singer, let me be heard. If I'm playing a solo, let me be heard. If the drummer's playing a solo, we'll let you be heard. Turn your shit down.
I totally agree, man.
And then even with your vocal, you'll kill your vocalist too, man. I've been having to take vocal lessons.
They can't hear.
2.5 years.
Yeah, they can't hear you. You just naturally start pushing.
You have to.
And
then you just blow it out. And how many people just trust their voice that they're going to do it? That's what they tell me. Well, if you can't hear yourself, just trust yourself. Well, I understand that. I can do that. I can. Not a problem. Even at Steven Tyler, I seen him do that live one time. His ear monitors weren't working on some award show. Just knocks him out, and he's confident enough that he could just sing it and make it, and it'll be fine. You know what I mean? But that takes practice, and you shouldn't have to even worry about that. If everybody in the band's listening and playing, I had an old buddy of mine. He was an old junkie. Died as a direct result of using and whatnot, but taught me some amazing things, and one of them was for the sake of the song. Don't play for you, your ego. You ain't got nothing to do with this. This is this is something that everybody's contributing to, and it's going to be it's its own thing. You know what I mean? Everybody's contributing to the pot. You know what I mean? It's just like when you get into like shamans and all that, they believe that everything goes into the ego. All your life experiences go into that pot. It ain't one. We're insignificant. I'm insignificant in that song. If I interfere with my ego, the idea will never happen the way it should have.
Yep. And it goes right back to building a house, because if you have, you got a plumber, you got a carpenter, you got an electrician, you got a roofer, and they're all doing their thing, not following the blueprints or whatever. I mean, you're going to have, electrical outlets and, under the sink, you're going to have, you know what I mean? The toilet next to the stove. And
there's a plan. There's a plan. Everybody got to be able to communicate. You know what I mean? And they're all trying to gain that one goal, which is just on paper. It's not a physical thing. Yeah. It's something that needs to happen. We can all stand back and say, I had a part in it. I did my part right. It's worth the money. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's worth the time that was put into it. It was worth it. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to let it think that it's going to, stop your or anybody's creativity. No. In the band. You know what I mean? I feel like some people feel that way too, man. Just they're wanting to solo all the time on guitar because they're an amazing guitar player. And it's most people will know, you know what I mean? And especially
and a guitar is a good, perfect example. You're an amazing guitar player, but you're not soloing the whole time. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
You'll come in, you'll just maybe 4, 8 bars. I don't even think I've ever heard a 16-bar solo from you, man. It's just like, boom, amazing, boom, out. You know what I mean? Right back in the hook or something. It's like,
There you go.
what just happened? You know, it's so much more amazing when you're just like, you know what I mean?
That's the drummers are like that too. Drummers that overplay. You know what I mean? There's some amazing drummers out there that you get bored with in 2 minutes. The first song, they did everything. You know what I mean? That's the kind of. I know if I was a female, I would never want to have sex with that guy. You know what I mean? Because he's just gonna bust a nut and be done, and it's over. He's gonna take a nap while I'm sitting there ready to go. You know what I mean? I'm gonna think, what an asshole. You know, that's exactly my thoughts. You know what I mean? Oh, a guy like that. You know what I mean? I feel them all the time. Like, or they build a fucking house behind you, man. You know what I mean? I'm looking for a construction sign back there. It's beating his snot, and they got to play every little riff that they know, man. Play a nice mellow groove, tune, pat, tune. You know what I mean? You signature. Use that stuff to signature your sound. I've always told that. Like, I've had multiple drummers, but every one of them, I give them their artistic license to do whatever they want with my stuff. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's certain things that have to happen. My songs are simple, but other than that, it's wide open. Signature it. I love to hear a different twist on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, you can ruin it. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of people do. They come out on 10, come out on 7, play with it. Use that. Come out of 6.5. Let there be a dynamic value to your band. If you don't have that, you're one dimensional and you suck. That's my
yeah.
That would be
No,
my,
I agree. I'm just laughing at the way you're explaining it because it's. I mean, it's funny the way you're saying it, but I totally agree. I mean, I think it's 100% true.
If I was A&R and heard that, I'd walk away.
Yeah.
If I roll my eyes, I want to
They
go.
probably already do, you know?
Yeah, right. You take a piss and leave, man. You know what I mean? See you later. I'm out. I'm gone. No.
Yeah.
You know, but if I hear something interesting, you know, make yourself interesting. Use what you got. You know, you don't have to be no hero. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know.
You don't mean standing on top of the speakers and diving into the crowd
I'm too
isn't
old
enough?
for that shit. I fall off the speaker. I'm going to be... Things break now. I don't bounce. I break. You know what I mean? Jeez, oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I even did a gig last year like that. You know, it's all about the song. My band couldn't make the show that we had booked. It was a big show, one of my favorite, Rock for Life. I played every one of them for, I think it's 14 or 15. I think it's 15 coming up.
I played for them a couple times.
Yeah, but I've played every show, been there the whole time, and it's just a thing that I like to do. And last year, these guys couldn't make it in my band. Things come up. And I was committed to the show, so I showed up with a broken finger on my left hand. Couldn't hardly use it. My pinky, still swollen. It's been a year later, you know.
Yeah.
And I played the gig acoustically.
Yeah.
Had a whole probably crowd 300-400 singing along with me while I was banging on an acoustic guitar with nothing special, you know. It was about the song, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, we were talking about tape compression and things like that on your side of things with digital and you know, and still I think about those things and it's like, you know, the Rolling Stones, whenever they recorded, they did it on a 2-inch tape, even an 8-track. I think Strawberry Fields was done 8-track, whatever. Yeah. But those songs are still around. They'll be around to the end of time. But there's that warmth you get from them. And then you think about it, you listen to you can hear that there's things missing in some old recordings and stuff like that, but the songs are good. The song is good.
Yep.
You know, even whenever they do new renditions, that's why they'll sell, because that song was good. You know, as long as somebody doesn't butcher it too bad.
Yeah, usually they just do like a digital remaster or something. Maybe bring it up to like a normal volume that's kind of standard for today or something like that. They usually don't even mess. Yeah, I mean, actually, I was going to say that earlier. You know, I mean, it just. You know, like the Beatles are a perfect example. You know what I mean? Like, you listen to like their early stuff. I mean, I think all their stuff's good, but like when you listen to early stuff, like other bands from their time, even earlier. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the blues stuff, like Muddy Waters and stuff. You listen to those recordings. Like, I mean, if you're specifically judging on the recording quality, it sucks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You can hear all kind of inconsistencies,
but. Like you said, the songs were good.
Yeah,
I mean, the Beatles were huge,
well, even
but
you
this
talk
song's
about-
ruled. You know what I mean?
You talk about Muddy Waters and all them old John Lee Hookers and all that. I mean, how they've been robbed of all their songs through time. That have made a lot of regular American bands or English bands have made big money off of those guys.
Yeah.
And the only reason they made the money is because of the song and the content of that song, lyrically and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's an interesting game, but I know one thing though. The only reason I'm still in it is because I love music.
Yeah.
I don't make any money.
That's what's hard, man. It's
brutal, man. It's brutal.
It's a drug, man.
I always live with
You
these.
start and it's all downhill from there.
Yeah, but the thing, it's just broke. When they had one thing, you get your, what's that? You got $50,000 worth of equipment. You drive in your, $500 car and got to make your $50 down the road. It just never evens out. It's just a losing battle, but you gotta love it. You gotta love what you're doing because there ain't always room at the top for everybody. You know what I mean? That's they say that, but I don't believe all that.
Yeah.
But hey, the main thing you can do is have product. That's one thing too. Throughout my life, from the time I was 16 years old, I have recordings of everything, my whole progression.
Yeah, I know you brought your DAT machine down yesterday, and you have an entire box of.
I went from a 2-track gas cam before they even made 8 tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was going to say something too. When you talk about old blues guitars and blues players and stuff like that, it was a thought I had while you were talking about that. But remember, I went to GIT in 1987, 88, and Paul Gilbert was there, and Steve Travato, Don Mark would be popping in, Joe DiOrio, and some of the best in the world. And one time I was sitting in a room and Paul Gilbert's playing, and he's an amazing player from Greensboro, 20 minutes away from where we're at, but amazing, just shredding, just freaking tearing it up. And there's a guy by the name of Keith White. I'm sure he's in Guitar Player magazines and stuff like that. No, I think he does articles on blues and whatnot. And he hits a note, one note, and then plays a tasty little riff, almost ZZ Top-ish, you know what I mean? But just with all this, just bending it nice. And Paul actually stopped playing and goes, man, now that's some real guitar playing right there. And I was like, I looked at him and I was, you know what, man? You're right. And I got up out of that room and went into Keith's room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Paul Gilbert's playing. You know what I mean? I love that. But there was something about the soulfulness of just bending that note. And I figured if you can mix them too, and which Paul does well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was at a crossroads on where I wanted to go playing wise and trying to mesh it all together, throw a little fusion, a little bit of metal, a little bit of blues, so it'd be a kind of an eclectic type of thing. And I love to improvise. After we, like on all recordings that we do, or that I've done, I go home and learn the song afterward.
Yeah.
Solos. I go home and learn it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm like, what the hell did I do there? God, I don't think I could do that again sometimes.
That's how it always is, man.
You know what I mean? But that's the fun part, because then I put some live energy down. Even Prince, they talked about him. When he would record, he would only give guys the songs for a little bit of time. He might rehearse with them once or twice, or let them hear it once or twice, play it. And he believed that would convey the live, if it was correct, the article I was reading, he believed that would bring that live energy to the recording because of their uncertainty.
Okay.
Am I going to get this right? Is this sound all right? Is this good? I don't know. I'm just going to keep playing. Hopefully it's good, you know what I mean? And I'm hearing it, that's when you got to listen.
Yeah.
That's when you got to kick back and listen to what you're doing, have faith in yourself and what you're doing. And then that's where you start to signature things,
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I there's a lot of times I think about it, I wouldn't mind being a lot further along in the music thing, but I have people across the country to sing my silly songs, man, you know what I mean? So, I mean, to me, that's success. It ain't about the money in my pocket.
Yeah.
I get a couple busloads of people that come to a show in New Jersey don't know me but by my music.
Yeah. That's what's up.
And they sing every song with me, and I don't know them. All they know is that common bond of music. And that to me is success. It's success.
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't about how much money I got in the bank. I ain't taking that with me.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. I mean, I already kind of know just from working with you, man. I mean, like, you just really come off like the kind of guy. I mean, you have that passion for it. You know what I mean? I see I see way too many kids on the internet, talk and hear kids talking and not really just kids either, but everybody seems to have that vision of making it, whatever the fuck that is. You know what I mean? It's like,
to me,
fucking
making it
man.
Somebody coming out and singing your song.
Yeah.
That's when you're successful. That's success to me.
It's wild to me, man.
Because I mean, like, I go out and I'll play some of these Rock for Life shows, and I'll stop playing. They sing the whole stupid song to me. Some of the songs I write are, they're silly, man, and they'll sing the whole thing to me, and I'm just amazed that they know all the lyrics. Like, that's just crazy to me, And to me, it's like, I always think to myself, well, if I was a record company, owned a record company, I walked over to this gig right now. Mm-hmm. We're not in an area where all that's prevalent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'd walk into a bar and see 400 people singing this guy's silly song,
yep,
and I would base it on the population of that town percentage-wise, I would think, you know what? This is
they're doing something.
There's something going on right here. You know what I mean? There's a sellable product here.
Yeah.
If I was going to go business-wise on it. Just never had that opportunity, man.
You know what gets me too sometimes is, once a band or a musician or something will do something, some kind of a effect or something like that, where it's huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
tuning down the C to whole guitar,
using an auto tune or something like that. Like one person does it, and then you start seeing all these other people trying to do that. You know what I mean? And it's just like, to me, once it's already been done, once you've heard it, it's over, dude. You know what I mean?
Imitator, innovator.
Yeah.
What do you want to be? The innovator never makes any money. The imitator does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's falling away. The pioneer of his own sound. By the time they recognize it's long past, but here comes a bunch of coming with it. Now, I always use as an example of that was Yngwie Malmsteen. A lot of people, he don't play with feeling and he don't and all this. And I mean, like, man, she's 19 years old playing like that. If you haven't had a chance to sit down and listen to a Rising Force album, you need to. If you're a guitar player, anybody has an attitude about it. Yeah, ego, unbelievable. I always thought, whatever, who cares? I'm listening. Bands a note right, killer vibrato, killer tone, good dynamics. And then you had all those other people that came out after him, like Vinnie Moore or Tony McAlpine and all them guys. You know what? I don't hear none of their names, but I still hear Yngwie. Mm-hmm. I still hear people talk about Yngwie.
Yeah.
Because he created a whole style. It was done. Yeah. They should have left that alone. Because you could only become a close second as far as I was concerned. You were just a close second. This dude had it in his blood. There was something there that he can improvise with that classical type of feeling. He was improvising while you were working it out on paper. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it sounded mechanical. It sounded worked out, where his sound way more natural, in my opinion. You know what I mean? That's why I have much respect for that guy. I don't care what his attitude's like. When I hear that album, it's like, holy hell, man. As young as he was, to come out with something like that's just incredible, man. Yeah. Incredible, And like you talk about these other things like the auto-tune and all that. I don't use any of that when I do recordings.
Yeah.
I got to be true to myself.
Yeah, I feel
if I want that sound effect, but I think a lot of people use it because they can't sing on key or they don't practice. Get with a piano, start learn your craft. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
but it's just,
I just meant it more of like an effect. Like the way Cher did it, and then T-Pain started doing it like. 100 years later. Yeah,
I actually use an effect on my little processor, so I was like, I'll be singing a clutch song and I'll just sing one note and it sounds like T-Pain.
Yeah.
Who would expect that? That's why I'll do that. But it's fun. I'm all about all that new thing. Just like I said.
Oh, yeah, me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't hide behind it,
Yeah. I guess what I meant was just like, I guess kind of not hiding behind it or not depending on it or not trying to copy what somebody else did.
Right, yeah. Back to the
be creative, yeah.
Yeah, be an innovator, imitator. That's why I was like what I do, man. Mm-hmm. I'm taking everything from all kind of styles because I like Rolling Stones, I like Sepultura, I like Hatebreed, I like Slayer. I like,
Yeah.
I like J.J. Cale. You know what I mean? We're talking about wide spectrum of artists. I like taking little bits and
And we were listening to what was that band last night? Shit, I suck with names. That like industrial.
Fear Factor.
Yeah, Fear
It's one of my
Factor. Yeah.
favorite- One of my favorite bands. And like as far as that guitar player goes, he didn't really crack off no crazy solos ever, man. He was all groove, but some of the grooves they have are just tremendous, man. And they were one of the first ones. Excuse me. You come with Fear is a Mind Killer album. I think that's it. Fear is a Mind Killer. No, remanufactured. They had album demanufactured. They handed it off to some DJs and did remanufacture, and they put a bunch of industrial beats and some electronica stuff in
Yeah,
there.
that's cool.
Back in the 90s, man, they were doing this stuff. There's your innovator.
Yeah.
Those are guys who were introducing that stuff. And I always thought it was just badass, I mean, I hear other people, like even today, I hear it coming and it sounds like it's... Like, leave it alone, man. These guys, if you ain't coming with a better sound than what they had right there, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Just, again, you need to listen to what you're doing. A lot of people don't listen. They caress their own ego, but they ain't listening. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
9 Inch Nails did something similar to that, where they were, so I can't remember what record it was, but they released the record, and then they actually released all the stems for all their songs. Like, so... like a stereo track of the guitars and the vocals and the drums and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can kind of isolate them a little bit. But they did that because people were really into doing like remixes and stuff at that point.
Sure.
And it was like huge for them because then it was almost like free promotion. You know what I mean? Because people that were into like DJing or doing remixes and stuff, whatever kind of, like dubstep or any kind of stuff related to that, they're doing these remixes, and it's just like... all these other versions out there, and you're hearing these guys all the time because they were the only people doing that when they at that point. You know what I mean? I mean it probably was done before.
The only
but like
samples I ever used was off The Exorcist. Some real heavy band I was in.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
Yeah,
but I understand what you're saying. They put out a little piece, and everybody gets to use it, and then they get sued.
No. They I think they put it right up on their website. They were just like, do whatever.
That's cool.
Remix it,
Oh, that's one thing I always...
I mean, I guess you can't like sell stuff like that, but
Yeah, you get permission.
DJing shows and stuff like that. People post remixes of things on YouTube and stuff.
I don't know if they ever... I wonder if they ever did any more. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
It's pretty cool stuff. I mean, they had killer drum tracks. There's a couple drum grooves on that particular album that was badass.
So, man, we've been talking for a while. That's awesome. I like talking about all that stuff because it seems like one of those things that there's like people that know about it, and then people that that don't even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's kind of a weird subject sometimes for musicians and stuff, but I wanted to talk about Big House Pete a little bit too. Now I know, I'm pretty sure you told me before, but nobody in your band's name is Pete.
Peterson. They call me Pete once in a while.
Yeah. So, well, how did you actually come up with the name Big House Pete?
That was my brother-in-law got a killer job down in Pittsburgh at building it was down in Shady Side in Pittsburgh. They were building a parking garage, and I wasn't really working at the time. But the guy that would work there only would hire ex-cons.
Yeah.
Because he thought they worked hard, whatever. And whatever, maybe they do. But my brother-in-law told him that I just got out of jail. And, and they called me Pete. My last name Peterson. This little Italian guy, Tony Ferrante was his name. Pete, and if he didn't think I was working hard, I'd be like, I'll send you back to Big House, Pete. I'll send you back to Big House. Work harder. You got to get this done. I'll send you back to goddamn Big House, Pete. And I kept thinking, Big House, Pete. I kept hearing this for like 3 months. Like, dude, I'm working my ass off here, you maniac. What's wrong with you? And he'd like single me out everywhere I was at. you know, just give me a hard time. I know he was busting my ball. Then he would pull me aside. So what you in the big house for? I'm like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I understand. Maybe sometime you tell me. I mean, like, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't in the big house yet.
Yeah.
I've done
I feel you.
yet. You know,
Yeah.
that's how I got the name. You know.
Yeah. That's cool. You did tell me that before. I didn't know. I didn't know that it was that they called you Pete. I didn't know that was you. I thought you were talking about somebody else.
No,
Like you heard that story.
No, that was me, man. Yeah, the guy called me Pete, and he would just. If he didn't think I was working hard enough, you'll start working hard enough or harder, you're going to go back to the big house. Back to the big house, Pete. That's where we're sending you. You know, I was like, big house, Pete, huh?
I wasn't at the big house yet.
Yeah, I ain't been there yet. You know, I just wanted to tell him, man. I don't, but even at the end of the job, I wanted to say, look, and by the way, no jail time, jackass. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
never got a chance to.
I feel you, man.
I used to tell him I had dreams of beating his ass. So he'd ask me, what'd you do yesterday? Dreamed about beating you up. You know what I mean? He would just walk away. He was a pretty little dude, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't have mind, you know, back in the day.
Oh man. Mm-hmm. But you know, my my dad always talks about things like that, like how he was, you know, there was like, yeah, when I was a kid, there was like 30 or 40 of us, and we always used to just run around, and we weren't afraid of nobody. You know, he's always talking about how they were getting into fights and beating people up, and now my dad's just like,
yeah,
like you, man, just
nothing you want to do.
Oh man, yeah, I feel you.
I mean, I do train guys too. That's another little profession I do.
Yeah, because you box, right?
A little bit, yeah. But I mean, like, it's more of a striking coach for these guys. You know what I mean? Got my first UFC fight coming up here on the 28th. Or no, 18th, April 18th in Newark, New Jersey. Yeah, I'll be ringside. And it's interesting, you know.
Yeah.
Same kind of work ethic is in here. You know, I always tell people, you know, you don't have to punch like everybody else. Punch like who you are, and we'll figure it out. We'll make that punch efficient and work and hard. And, you know, and I was actually going to call it Big House Strikes. And my motto was going to be hit so hard you may go to jail. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, so it all just ties back into that, I guess. I don't know. But, anyway, yeah, like even more recent though, like things we talked about, like doing an acoustic thing. I wouldn't mind doing like an acoustic album, something different.
Yeah, because you've been playing out a lot with
just myself.
Yeah, I know you kind of mentioned it before, but you've been using you have like a looper.
Yeah, real basic looper.
Now, have you been playing like your own material?
Yes.
You know, Big House Pete stuff, or just
Big House Pete, and my own stuff that I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I don't play out in Big House Pete.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I got quite a few. I got a library of songs, and like I said, it ranges from country to hardcore. And I always liked softer acoustic music. You know what I mean? Even some old Neil Young, some Crosby, Stills and Nash, stuff like that. I've always been a fan of things like that. You know. Even like Fleeting Fox, you know what I mean? Bands like that.
Yeah.
Some cool stuff. And some Chris Knight, you know, these are like abstract, but cool stuff.
Yeah. We talked earlier, you've been playing guitar for a long time. Mm-hmm. And honestly, probably of all the bands I've recorded, you're probably the best guitar player that I've ever recorded.
I appreciate that, but I know I've fallen that skill. I've played with the best in the world, man. I told them I was a drummer. We sit in a room with like Frank and Bali. You don't pick up a guitar.
Yeah.
But nah, man, I play drums.
I think you're being modest, honestly.
I'm telling you, man, these were impressive guys, man. Impressive.
So, I mean, I kind of play guitar.
Yeah.
Me, if like you were just saying, you've been in the same room with these amazing guitar players. If that was me, that's what I would say. I was a drummer.
Yeah.
It's surprising to me that you would say that to somebody.
Oh, yeah, man.
I mean, how do you even get in to start playing the way that you do? I mean, you know your scales, like they're just
I got real lucky.
Nothing,
there was
man.
a guy in where I grew up that played guitar. in a band called, holy hell, I can't remember the name, Dragonfire. And, oh man, John Pranowitz, Kevin Pavlik were the guitar players. And Kevin was a friend of mine. I was just a kid. He had an SG, you know, and this and that, and he played all this cool stuff. He played all, and I used to, back in the day, I smoked a lot of weed, and just so it all burned up on in the morning, and then I'd walk down to his place, and he'd be jamming, you know what I mean, and I would just get mesmerized by it. But then he had this one issue of a Guitar Player magazine, and we're talking when I was 13 years old or so, and it had all the scales laid out, all from, you know, every Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, and Locrian, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it covered one, you know, like G major, and it showed every scale. And I got a copy of that, and I learned every one of them scales. And as a suggestion to anybody playing, you learn those scales, even if you don't know what they mean or what they are. When you do finally get it, or if you study this a little bit, and you have that under your fingers already, you'll see it immediately. You'll be like, oh shit, this is how theory works, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I used to just run them scales all the time. And then one time in a drunken, stupid, idiot situation, I punched my hand through a door trying to get a box of cereal off my brother because I was hungry and I was drunk. And I pulled my hand back through and I cut the index finger and middle finger of my left hand.
Yeah.
Couldn't use them to play. So I had to use my third and fourth fingers because I still, you know, that passion to play has always been there. So I played with the third and fourth finger. And I kept playing and playing and playing with it. You know what I mean? It took it was probably about 2 or 3 months before my fingers could touch down. They were cut pretty bad. All my fingers are numb from construction.
Yeah.
My right hand should have a, you know, or my left hand should have a PFA against my right hand because it's always stabbing and they're banging it with a hammer or something. You know, as a poor bastard. You know what I mean? But what happened was and I would suggest it as a practice tool too. Leave your first 2 fingers out because they're predominantly stronger. The third and fourth fingers are weaker.
Yeah.
So I practiced with that third and fourth finger, blues scales and stuff like that, pentatonic, whatever.
Yeah.
And then when I got the bandages off and I started to be able to move my fingers and everything, I had even strength.
Yeah.
Across the hand because I developed that little bit extra during that time.
That's I think I've never heard anybody say that before. I think that's an amazing piece of advice.
Yeah, and really
I'm gonna try that.
All the difference in the world. I do it still. I run all my scales with those 2 fingers.
Well, how did you play like chords and stuff where you needed more than 2 fingers?
I would play power chords and stuff. I mean, I did what I could. You know what I mean?
How would you?
I wouldn't
play a power chord?
Yeah, I mean, I would spread my fingers out to
no shit,
just a fifth, you know, and I made them work, you know, and then once I could add the other 2 fingers in, the strength was good, man, you know.
I have like a 1 fret spread on.
Yeah, see, I mean, you learn that out, you get that, you know. You ever look at Alan Holdsworth's hands? You ever know who that is? You know who Alan Holdsworth is?
Yeah.
He's a fusion player that's badass, man. He's another one. People should just laugh it alone.
Is that where you got that from?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
You know, and I seen a picture of him one time in one of his manual books or instructional books, and his fingers were laid out like mine are, you know. And people always tease me about having small, pudgy hands, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, how can you play like that when you pudgy little hands like that? I kind of get like, fuck yeah, I got pudgy little hands. That's what I call you saying. Like little sausage fingers. I'm like, you know, I'd crack you in the head with them. You know what I mean?
Won't feel like sausage hitting you in the head.
My balls, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, what do you want me to do? You know, but then I think about it. I always think about it. Well, I must be a bumblebee then. You know what I mean? They tell me you can't fly with them wings. You know what I mean? Because truthfully, scientifically, a bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly.
Yeah.
But he does. You know, if he didn't know he couldn't, you know what I mean? He just do it.
Yeah.
But I like to get back to them skills now. I ran them skills, blah, blah, blah. I learned the chords to back them. I learned, you know, what a 1 chord was, a 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, and how that worked. Basic theory. Then
you mean you're talking about like the Roman numerals or whatever? Like we were talking. Okay. Yeah.
And then when I went to school, it was like I went to GIT out there. At the time, it was real personal then. Before it got a little bit too commercialized. It's all right now, man. But I just see that it was just a smaller group of people, you know what I mean? And it was it was pretty nice as far as like the one-on-one. I don't know what it's like now, but you were with like the best in the world getting one-on-one, you know?
Yeah.
Ask them any question you want. And that, but I was there 6 weeks, and I could have left. One day I was in class, and a teacher said something. I said, "So you mean this is this is that, and and it was all about intervals, you know, interval theory, blah blah blah, and it all came together like right in 1 second." I was like, and then I just like looked up in the air and was like, "What am I here for?"
Yeah,
because I don't want to play like any of you guys.
Yeah,
not that no disrespect. It's just, I want to do my thing.
I feel you.
You know what I mean?
I feel you on that.
I have my own taste, my own things I'm hearing in my head. You know, I don't want to be Scott Henderson. I don't want to be Paul Gilbert, neither nor could I be, but, you know, or Frank Umbali or whoever else was there. I don't want to be those guys. I want to be who I am.
Yeah.
I always liked writing songs, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I can respect that for sure. I mean, and then going back to the theory stuff, I mean, that was, it probably didn't click as fast for me as it did for you, but I remember it was like the same thing. I mean, we were learning these, you know, intervals and stuff, and, you know, just all that theory stuff, basic music theory. And then, you know, I just remember at one point it all just kind of clicked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I could just like rattle it off. And then it's weird too, because somebody will ask me like a theory question or something. I'm not like Mozart or anything like that.
Me neither.
But, you know, somebody will ask me like a theory question, and when I explain it, you know, you think you were speaking a different language to them, which I guess it is, but it's like, there, I got like a fucking pizza stuck to my face or something. I don't know.
Sure, yeah. You can see the eyes go out the window. You start telling people what they're doing, and they just like, you know, they're done. But yeah, I don't even try to explain it. And I asked Scott Henderson about that one time. You know, he does a lot of theory stuff, and you know, I forget what he's always messing around with like these pivot point stuff. You know, just real interesting. A lot of whole tone stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he, you know, he said one of the most important things I ever heard. If it sounds good, it is good. Figure it out later.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
If it theoretically doesn't work, so what? If it sounds good, it is good.
Yeah.
It's up to you to be the judge of that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Again, it all comes back to listening. You know, if you can't listen, then you're in the wrong business.
Yep.
You know?
Yep, I feel that. I'm always telling people that. It's like, well, I mean, I just say, you know, if it sounds good, go with it.
Yeah.
A little different, but same thing, you know? I mean,
yeah, I get that.
That's just how I feel about it.
Well, what if this is this? This don't fit here, this or that. And they'll be asking me why. And I'm like, you know what? You like it? Play it. If you don't, don't.
Yeah.
You know? Why, you know, complicate it. You know, most people out there don't even know what theory is.
Yeah.
They just played a couple chords they learned and they got lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Because they're listening, the public likes a simple song.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, for the most part, I mean,
yeah, you're going to play to small jazz clubs and small little clubs.
Yeah.
You know, you get people that really appreciate what you're doing.
For me, I almost feel like, you know, when I learned some theory, like when I got that moment where it all clicked, I got really excited. And I think, you know, maybe I might have pushed out like 10 songs or something. You know, one of them may have become something, but I feel like at one point too, I feel like it almost messed me up. You know what I mean? Because I was thinking about it too much, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't do that," because it's, you know, it's like, because what's funny too is just like, you know, it's called music theory, and you know, people learn it and treat them as a rule almost, but really it's a theory.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
People forget
a guideline.
That's
if
all.
You want to get that specific, but
it's something to look back and give you options.
Yeah.
When you get stuck, you get options. You know.
Yeah. So.
I don't know.
Cool. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Paul Peterson from Big House Pete. Paul, if anybody wants to check you out online, bighousepete.com.
Yeah.
There it is. Josh Moose from Grandma's House Audio. Thanks for listening.